want to talk a little bit today about bike changes and overall changes to riding style and maybe even riding conditions. Reevaluate where it is that you want to ride. With disabilities, having disabilities, I find myself not being able to ride some of the stuff that I used to ride, say 20 years ago, much like this. And now I find myself needing to ride places that are more like this. My bones and joints just won't tolerate what it used to, or what they used to. So I have to be mindful of that. I've had to make some changes to the bike. The first thing I did is this year I was using the gravel tires. These are the Bontrager tires that I've been running for the past year. They're 700C by 42. This is the tread pattern. And I've changed back to my H5 comp, which is 700 by 45. And there's the tread pattern. I went to the bike doctor in Crofton and picked up another 700C by 45 because, as I've told you before, mine separated on the rear last year. That's when I put the gravel tires on, right after I got the bike. They don't make the H5 anymore. They're H2 now, and they hold up to 60 pounds of air. Now I found that I can't use the gravel tires because they require more tire pressure. They're a little bit narrower. I need to go for something with more stability, with a larger air volume. So I'm running, instead of running the 700C by 43, I'm now running the 700C by 45. These are more of a pavement type of tire, light gravel, that type of thing. Paved trails, light gravel trails, rail trails, more so than something that's suitable for single track or hard type gravel. Those weren't really suitable for single track, but I could go on paths with them, and I wasn't much for off-roading anyway, but some of the stuff I was starting to get into was kind of like that. So I've had to change that up just a little bit more. Suspension cushioning, I guess, through the tires. You can go online and find a tire pressure calculator where you put your weight in, weight of your gear, weight of your bike, and the size of tire you have on your bike, and it'll give you the pressure needed for front and rear to make your ride comfortable. There are many. I'm not going to recommend any. There's one that I use in particular, but there are many. So go on and find one that suits your needs the best. But we have to change, and I have found riding this past year that there are some changes that I need to make for my overall well-being and health. So I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to have to ride this versus this.
I really don't know if you can tell, but there's like a wood log right there, and there's a bunch of them on this trail, and I keep almost falling on them. So we pumped some air out of my tires, and hopefully that will help.
I went online and used the online pressure calculator for the 700C by 45, given my weight, the weight of my bike, and typical weight of the gear that I'm going to carry. My pressure should be set between 37 and 40 psi in the rear, and about 30 to 32 psi in the front. So that's what I'm going to use, and it should be a lot easier for me. One of the other changes I had to make this year was my seat post. I was using a inline seat post. I had to switch to a 20mm setback for my Brooks saddle because I was having a lot of pain in my knees and more pain in my ankles than I should have. Of course, that's my primary injury, is in my ankles. So it was causing me quite a bit of problem. When I was up at Bike Doctor in Crofton Friday, we went over the seat setback. I ended up with a 20mm setback to take the pressure off my ankles and off my knees. This is the stock seat post that came on the bike, on the Trek Verve. It has very little setback, very little if any. So what I ended up with was this, which is not very expensive, but as you can see, it's about a 20mm setback. So when I put them up here, well, for comparison, see, that's more in line, and I've got a considerable amount of setback with this, so I don't have to run my saddle all the way back on the rails, but it gives me enough setback to not damage my ankles or my knees any further. And this one is also a 350mm seat post, as to where this one is a 300mm. I would also recommend, if it's within your ability, to get yourself a nice rack system for your vehicle to haul your bikes with. This is, of course, the Outfitter 2 for standard or electric bikes with ramp. This being your ramp, it really aids in getting the bike on and off of the vehicle. So that also helps a lot when you have disabilities. You don't have to lift and pull on the bike. Well, there's just some food for thought. That's my current situation, and I wanted to share it with you because it is a work in progress, and as we age and as we deal with our disabilities, things change. Things change, and we have to change with them. So I appreciate you watching, and now it's time to go ride. This is the maximum difficulty that I plan to ride this year. I don't think I'm going to take on anything else other than this. I think for my own health and benefit, I need to limit myself. So this will be the worst, or the roughest that I do. The average riding will be more like this. And of course, I plan to do blacktop, back roads, and paved rail trails and such. We'll see how it goes. And I'm going to be riding a lot less of this. It's okay, but it's just too rough on my joints. Unless it's exceptionally smooth. What we did the other day up on the Dahlgren Heritage Rail Trail with the railroad ties in and the roots and ruts, heavy rock, is too much. I can't handle it. I'm not embarrassed to say it. It's just is what it is.